Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Flying Pig United. Today, I will be hosting it myself, Maisie, and I've got G Wolf, I've got Griffo. How are we both?
All good, thank you.
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you. Hope everyone in the chat's doing all right this fine afternoon.
Yes, there is a lot of people already there in the chat, so hello to all of you who are already in the chat, and whoever is watching, hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel as well, smash that subscribe button too. So we'll talk about Manchester United. Not much positivity at the moment, but we'll go on with the game. What happened at the weekend against Southampton? We of course had that 1-1 draw. Sancho scoring in the first half, and then of course Southampton equalised and early on in the second half. Actually, Che Adams scoring that equalising goal. I'll start with you, G Wolf. What did you think of the game overall?
Over first half, we was all over them. We could have got at least 3 or 4 against Southampton then. And then second half, I don't know what it is. We always just bottle it, just constantly. Like the last 3 games, we have always bottled the second half. Whereas last season, the first half was absolutely piss poor, and then the second half was absolutely brilliant. So it's like we've reversed everything.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Exactly.
I don't know what I really don't know what Man United can do at the moment. If they can't beat people like Southampton, Burnley, and I'm trying to think who's the other team was, Middlesbrough, then where are we going to go from here? I can't. Literally, I'm befuddled of what we're going to do against Brighton because I think it's going to be another 1-1 draw, I think.
Mm-hmm. I hate to predict 1-1 draws, but I actually did predict it for Southampton just because I was thinking I don't know what is going to happen with this game, and it's funny you mentioned first half SC, now second half SC last season. There's actually a meme on social media with half of Rangnick's face, half of Ollie's face, saying this is what we need right now.
So true, so true.
But we'll go to you, Griffo. What you thought, how you thought the game was for Southampton.
Well, to be fair, I didn't actually watch the game. I was busy, but I've seen the highlights, and I think me not watching the game doesn't really make, because what I've heard is that it was basically a carbon copy of Middlesbrough and Burnley. So it feels like it's just the same game played 3 times over against 3 different oppositions. So on that basis, it's frustrating because we're creating the chances. But we can't seem to find the back of the net at the moment. And you looked at Man United's team at the start of the season, and so much stuff has happened since then. But you think the one area we're not going to struggle in is putting the ball in the back of the net, because we've got Ronaldo, Cavani. We had other players who could put the ball in the back of the net at the time. And now we're struggling to get more than one goal in a game after having, 20 shots a game now or something like that. So I don't know where we go in terms of that, but it's just all a mess at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it is definitely a mess at this moment in time with Manchester United, and it is quite strange because you do look at this Middlesbrough game in particular. We had 30 total shots on it, not necessarily on target, but 30 total shots, and the players who we do have on the pitch, you'd think is good enough to create them chances. We've got, of course, Cristiano Ronaldo. People are saying would consider Cristiano Ronaldo the best in his game. You've got Edinson Cavani, who is a brilliant asset to have on the team, as well as youngsters around you of Alanga, Rashford, Sancho, and Sancho only this time last season was considered one of the best wingers in Europe. So it is quite a situation on our hands of what is going on at Manchester United, and I do question of what is wrong, what is causing these failings at Manchester United. Is it because we had a lot of issues, of course, when we had the previous manager, Ole, but then it just seems like everything is coming back again. Yes, we're not conceding as many goals. We're conceding roughly around 1 a game, but but now our play in terms of attack is so dry. But for you, Griffo, what do you think is going on with what is causing these failings at Man United?
It's so difficult to put it on one thing. I think it's an accumulation of everything. Obviously, everything comes back to the way the club's run and the people upstairs. It always comes back to that. I think everyone will echo that. But in terms of on the pitch, we should be doing much better, even with the owners we've got. So you look at them players and you think these players are not as good as maybe on paper we think they are. You look at a goalkeeper, I think we're fine with because we have De Gea. So that's a position we're fine with at the moment. We've got Varane, who's a good centre-back. Other than that, we don't have a really, really, really good second centre-back. Maguire is on the worst form of his career. Lindelof, and that says something because he's been relegated about 1,000 times. Lindelof and Bailly are okay centre-backs, but not first team for Manchester United. And then you look at Shaw, who's sort of not having that same impact he had last season. Tellez isn't really hitting the strides we thought he was. Dallo and Wan-Bissaka on the right-hand side, you wouldn't expect them to be top quality first team right backs when you look at the Reece Jameses and the Trents and the Cancellos at the our rivals. And then you look at the midfield and there's literally McTominay, Fred, not a out-and-out defensive midfielder that we do need at the club. And the only one we do have is Matic, who can struggle to play 3 games a week. And then you just got players Bruno, who is getting frustrated too easily, kicking the ball into random areas of nothingness. And then Ronaldo, who's just got his head down and doesn't seem to be as motivated as he was when he first rejoined the club. So it's a mixture of players not being motivated enough. It's a mixture of the players not being good enough. I think it is also, though, a mixture of the players not knowing what the future holds, because Rangnick's only here for 6 months. They do not know what the summer's going to bring, because we could be learning this whole pressing system under Rangnick 6 months later, even though Rangnick hopefully does have a say in the manager, can pick a completely different style, and the players will have to learn that style or go back to a style. So this seems a very sort of put your finger on the hole of to stop the water sort of problem fixing for United at the moment. And that's not going to be a permanent thing. So it's just a mixture of all those things I've said there. You can't really pin it on one thing. But if you had to pin it on one thing, you'd have to obviously pin it on the owners who have sort of slowly killed this club over the last 15 odd years.
Yeah, James has made a comment here. We're at our best 5 years or more before we challenge again. We're so far behind. The place is rotten from the owners to the pitch. Any manager coming in needs at best 3 years to get the balance. Would you agree with everything Griffo and what James has said there, G Wolf?
Any manager coming in needs at best 3 years to get the balance. Ollie had 2.5 years, and even then he couldn't get the balance. So, tell you the truth, what manager coming into this club at the moment to get any balance whatsoever? We need the owners out. Once the owners out and we get proper footballing owners, then that's only when we can start sorting out the rest of the team, the rest of the club, to get in the balance of the team and all that lot. Apart from that, we're just going to be an absolute shit show from here on out until the Glazers fucks off.
Exactly. I completely agree, and I do definitely think there is a mixture of things of what is causing Manchester United. And I've always said this. If, for example, you look at the owners who say, right, we need top 4. If you get top 4, that's absolutely fine. As long as you get into top 4, so it doesn't matter where you finish. You could literally scrape into it the final day of the season, or as long as you're in top 4 by the end of the season, that's okay. And then you look at things like that and think, well, if the owners think top 4 is okay, does that mean that the players are going to think? Doesn't matter if we lose against the Liverpools, the Cities, it doesn't matter if we lose draws against the Burnleys, the Southamptons, but as long as we finish by top 4 by the end of this season, then we're absolutely fine. That's perfect. You could also argue, just as Griffo was mentioned, there's no certainty about this club at all. And I said what I was suggesting a couple of weeks ago. Before this transfer window, Manchester United owners, the board, should have made interviews to to different managers who are interested in the club. If that is going to be the Poches, if that's going to be the Ten Hags, if that was going to be the Enriques after the World Cup.
Yeah.
We should have had these interviews in place to say, right, and then we could have announced that before the January transfer window to Manchester United fans, the players, even Rangnick, so he can identify these players and say, okay, this is Ten Hag style of play, so this player will be suited for Ten Hag, this player will be suited for Ten Hag. We'll bring him in, I'll train him up until Ten Hag comes in the summer, or that could be the same with whatever manager's going to be. Because we did notice this with Manchester City before Pep Guardiola. He was actually still in that Bayern Munich job when he got announced as Manchester City manager. So we could still technically have done that with a manager who's still in the job, but it's just that there's no ambition there whatsoever. And of course, when you've got the coaching staff and they're training the players, okay, you teach these players how to kick a ball, you teach them how to shoot, teach them how to score, teach them all these skills on the pitch. But if they're not performing on the pitch, you've only got 3 substitutes. There's very limited options you can really make.
I think the issue is that if you're a Poch or you're a Ten Hag or you're an Enrique or you're any other manager, you look at Man United right now and you think, no, I'm going to stay well clear of this project because the uncertainty that has happened over these last 7-8 years since Alex Ferguson left. So it's quite worrying when you look at just where we are, and there'll be no manager that will want to sort of come in, and then I might be proved wrong. There'll probably be a manager, but if I was Ten Hag or Poch or Enrique or top manager, I'd stay clear of United at the moment because it's just a dreadful, dreadful place to manage. These players obviously have a history of throwing managers under the bus, have to have a history of downing tools, and also the owners you get backed once in a blue moon. So it's difficult for any one of those managers to really, really want the project, and that for us is a dangerous place to be.
Definitely. Totally agree.
I agree with that as well. A few more people have been saying things. First thing we need to do is get rid of the glazers. Then we can start rebuilding from Robert. We do look at that and you do think, right, at the moment, it's estimated Manchester United around 4 billion. How many people will be able to afford 4 billion right now to buy Manchester United too? I can't see that many people there at that moment in time to say, okay, let's buy Manchester United, because there has been options in the past, but we haven't been able to. They've been rejected. So that is going to be a very hard job in itself, just to try and get rid of the top. I always look at Manchester United a bit like a pyramid, if you look at it in that way, to say, right, you sort out the bottom half, you sort the players out, you sort out the managers. That's the bottom half of the table. Top half, it's the owners, it's the board. If that continues to stay the same, that same toxic circle will just continue and continue. If that's going to be come back to the bottom half of the table in the next 2 to 3 years. So we've noticed it's happened with several managers now. So we know it's not just a thing what the fans can see. It's a more in-depth route what is behind these scenes. If you agree with that, G Wolf.
Yep, totally agree. Totally agree with that. It's like the Glazers are just literally, they're just pinching money all the time. They're not, giving it out for us to spend. They're just like taking. And yeah, they just definitely need to get out. But yeah, with you saying who can afford it, we could go see if Elon Musk, that Spotify person. I'd have someone like him, or if one of the Arabs wants to come over, one of the Saudi people, Saudi courtesians, comes over and wants to buy.
I think as well with the Glazers, I don't think it's going to get any better overcoming because I mean their NFL team have just lost Tom Brady, haven't they? Because Tom Brady's going to retire, so they're going to want to replace one of the greats pretty damn quickly. So they're going to pile money into contracts to try and get the replacement for Tom Brady, and that will be their priority because they prefer the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to Manchester United. So I don't see it getting any better in the foreseeable, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Niall have made a good point. Let's go to some positives here. Only saw some of the game, but it was the last game for me. Sancho took his goal really well and worked really well. Just need to tighten up the defence and stop leaking the goals. So that is definitely a positive thing just to see on Sancho, if anything, in these past couple of games, just to see that Sancho is actually getting into Manchester United. And what I used to think, especially at the start of the season, that you can tell with some players that the top is a little bit too heavy on a player. And I think that was the case with Sancho. And once he obviously got into that game a lot better, he started getting used to the Premier League. I think he started to work so well. And we're seeing it now, especially into the Premier League at the moment. And you look at the first half, especially in the Burnley game, he literally didn't give the ball away once. Passing success of 100%. You look at things as such a positive. And what do you think of how Sancho has been for you, G Wolf?
I think Sancho's been absolutely amazing since he's come. Yeah, at first he was bedding in, but now it seems he's just hit the ground running. And literally, it's wonderful to see him take his chance. And I think he definitely deserves to be in the first 11 now. Whereas before, that he was only getting partial games, and whenever he did come on, I thought he did well, but obviously the manager didn't, and hence the reason why he was on the bench most of the time.
Mm-hmm. How do you think Sancho has been for you, Griffo? Because I'd probably say Sancho's probably been one of our positives in the past couple of games.
Yeah, it's easy to get carried away. We shouldn't, because at the end of the day, it's easy to spot a diamond when you throw it in a pile of crap, isn't it? Sancho is the bright spark in a otherwise dull team. So, but yeah, him and De Gea are the two players that I think can hold their heads up high at the moment. I don't think he's reaching anywhere near what he can reach at Jadon Sancho, but he's well on his way, and that is a good thing for United. And if we can get the players around him performing, then that's the ideal situation and we can move on. But yeah, for me, De Gea and Sancho probably the only two positives I can think of. Elanga, I think Elanga's done well since he's come in, since Rangnick has implemented him into the squad. But yeah, apart from those handful of players, we need to see more from all the other players for us to really appreciate the whole team and these players that we've just said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Let's look into now the Brighton game, because that, of course, is tomorrow. And we've had our last so many games. It's been 1-1 draws. The last actual win from Manchester United, it was actually the West Ham game, if I'm not mistaken, and that was a 1-0 win. And we all knew how well West Ham have been this season. Currently, they was a little bit below us at that point when we did play against them. Managed to get the full 3 points, but what do you think? What do you think Rangnick should do to actually try and get the 3 points from Brighton, in your opinion, Griffo?
Oh God, that's the thing. There's not an obvious drop the players that need to be dropped. Maguire, McTominay. I think Fred's back. Is Fred back?
He's still out with COVID.
Still out. Yeah. Okay. So I guess we have to blame McTominay in that sense. Although Matic is injured as well, so I guess we do. But for Maguire and Rashford especially, they need to be benched. Just because their form is dreadful at the moment. I'm sure we'll get on to team predictions and what we want to see a bit later on. But there's not a lot you can do, because I think we've shown in these last 3 games, Ralph has coached a very good game because we're creating bundles of chances. Ralph's not the one that has to put the ball in the back of the net. That's the job of Ronaldo, Bruno, Rashford, Sancho. And so I think he's just going to try and coach his game, motivate the players a bit more and just hope that we can actually score against Brighton. And from what I remember, Brighton have the better defence out of like the likes of Burnley and Southampton and Middlesbrough. So we might get less chances, but we're going to have to be more prolific and more clinical in that sense.
No Tozer said that Fred and Tellez is available. I thought Fred was still out due to COVID. So if Fred is still available, he could be a possible option we could actually take in the midfield. But when you do look at it, there isn't much at all in terms of the squad Rangnick can really do, because we haven't got that squad depth anymore, and a couple of players out due to suspension of Paul Pogba too. So that is going to be extremely difficult. But for you, G-Wolf, what do you think Rangnick should do to try and get these 3 points from Graham Potter? Because we all know Brighton are a very good side this season.
They are. I think Rangnick should do, as Griffo said, there's not really much he can do. But I think the players should, instead of, in the first half, they always go gung-ho, pressing forward and attacking, 24/7. And then they're knackered in the second half. So maybe sort of serve some energy for the second half, still play your natural game, but just with less intensity, maybe. And then, hopefully we'll get the result that way. But yeah, definitely agree with Griffo benching some of the players that was in the last game. Maguire or Slabhead cement mixer, he can bugger off out the club as far as I'm concerned.
How times have changed.
Oh yes, literally, he was my guy. I thought he would be the guy, but nah, he can literally go do one. So I'll replace him with. Do you know what? I'll actually give Phil Jones a shout. He played well, didn't he?
Yeah.
In his last game when he played. So I'll put Phil Jones in for him.
Continue.
Okay. Also, I'll get rid of. I'll get rid of Ronaldo. I'll either bench him or I'll put him for Rashford. Put him in Rashford's position. Put him out wide.
I don't think he can do a job out wide these days.
You don't think he could?
I don't think he can. I think those days are past him. And I think with Cavani out as well, there's no choice but to play Ronaldo.
But with the assists that Ronaldo has in his locker, that's what he can whip in a brilliant ball.
I think what we need is we need pace in the attack, especially. And I don't think Ronaldo will necessarily bring that.
Because Ronaldo hasn't been great up front for us, has he, in the last 3 games?
This is very true. And of course, when times are tough, you're going to have to try everything, aren't you? And try and put Ronaldo in different positions to accommodate him. Because despite his form, Ronaldo is still one of the best players that's ever played the game. So you want to put him in the team no matter what, because he's a game changer at any moment in the game.
That's it.
Exactly. So I don't see Ralph putting him up front on that left-hand side, though. I can see him putting him up front, personally.
Okay, well, I can't see it, but it's just one of the options that we can do, to replace Rashford, because Rashford has been proper off his game, and he scored. He's been scoring. He scored a couple of goals, hasn't he, for us? But apart from that,
yeah, this is true.
His performance overall has been just been absolutely poor all the way through.
True.
But he's been poor since he's got the MBE, in my opinion.
The fair point. I didn't connect that. Didn't connect it whatsoever.
Literally, since he was first told that he was going to get the MBE, I've seen him. His form has dipped dramatically.
I think he's one of these players that I think is very hampered by injury, and I think we won't see Rashford playing for up until like 36. We'll probably see him similar to Rooney retire maybe a bit early for what everybody was expecting, just because of the amount of injuries he's picked up throughout his career so far. I'm a big fan of Rashford. I still think there's a good player in Marcus Rashford, but it seems just so away from where he is at the moment. He can't seem to even string a pass together, which is what Rashford did with his eyes closed a few years ago, under Mourinho and under Solskjaer to begin with. So it's just so frustrating, isn't it? I just don't understand it. While Maisie's gone, should we throw it to the chat? Because I'm interested to see what people's opinions are on Ronaldo. G Wolf said put him on the left. I'm still interested in keeping him up front. So I'm interested in what the chat are thinking, whether we should bench him, completely drop him out of the squad altogether, play him up front, play him on the left. Where should we play Ronaldo? Maybe play him in a 2 up front with Rashford, even though it didn't really work when Rangnick first came in. What do you think should happen with Ronaldo? And we'll wait for the comments on that one. But for me, I think Cristiano Ronaldo being up front is the way to go, because even though his form is bad, as I said, he can turn it on at any moment, and that's really what can happen there. But you seem to be content in putting him on the left, G Wolf, which I mean,
as I said, it's just one of the options. I would bench him and put in Elanga, have a younger version of because Elanga's done well since he's been coming into the fold. In central midfield area, why not put Hannibal? See what he can do. Just to try something different. Because of obviously with the players that we've got now, they've just been absolutely piss poor.
And it's a point worth mentioning that if we go deep in the Champions League, which at the moment is looking very highly unlikely, of course, but then we'll be playing midweek and the midweek weekend. So we're going to need to use our squad. And I mean, after losing a few players in January due to various reasons, we now have lesser squad than we did, quite a lesser squad actually than we did at the start of the season. So we're going to have to implement these youngsters like Hannibal, like Zidane Iqbal, like Charlie Savage, a bit more of a Langer. Get these youth players in, and as you said, can they do much worse? This is a prime opportunity for Hannibal. If Bruno's not feeling up to it, which he doesn't look like he is at the moment, play Hannibal, because even though we make fun of passion merchants and all of that, at the moment, we could do with a bit of passion because not many players are showing it. So if Hannibal is ready to put a shift in there over Bruno, then I can see him putting him in. Obviously, you want your best players on the pitch, but you got to try something new in this situation. 100%. Let's have a look at these comments then. A lot of people saying we can't pin them because Maisie has that power and she is no longer here at the moment. I'm sure she'll rejoin as soon as she can. Interesting one here from Rob Stark. Ronaldo's never been a lone striker. Do you agree with that, G Wolf? Do you think that maybe he works better off of a partner up there?
I think he should be able to do well with anybody that he's got. To tell you the truth, whether he's on his own or with a partner, at the end of the day, he does his thing. 9 times out of 10, he puts in a great performance, but it could be age is catching up with him. Definitely. A little bit, and hence the reason why he's not bagging the goals and and doing what he's doing at the moment. At the moment, he's just so off the ball. It's unbelievable. Who would have thought that Ronaldo will go? I think I saw, wasn't it 6 games without a goal?
The last goal he scored, wasn't it a penalty? It wasn't a penalty against Norwich. No. He scored since the Norwich game, surely. The Burnley game, the first Burnley game, wasn't it? The one we won 3-1 and the one where we actually played all right football. I'm pretty sure Ronaldo scored there. But yeah, 6 games without a goal, if that's correct. That's dreadful, isn't it? Especially for a player of his caliber. especially for a
Exactly.
player.
Like,
Yeah.
you know,
I am absolutely sorry, guys. My internet again. It's always the way, isn't it? When you want to do something, the internet stops. But
Yeah.
thank you very, very much, though, for holding it down for me whilst I'm doing this.
That's right. We just
that's all
discussed
right.
about Ronaldo and whether he should be up front, whether G Wolf suggested chucking him on the left wing for tomorrow. So we've just thrown it to the chat and they've come back with, I think the majority are keen to see him up front with the partner, which we tried obviously at the start with Rangnick and at the end didn't really pay off. But I mean, Cavani's out tomorrow, so the options there. You basically have Rashford because
Yeah.
you could maybe see Elanga playing up front. So I don't see that option being feasible tomorrow.
No, I can't see it being feasible. And for me, I don't think I would really start Ronaldo on the left because he doesn't really press like he used to do. Like 18-year-old Ronaldo in the Premier League on the right hand side, I don't think we'd be able to do that all over again. So I personally will think he's probably better off playing up front because he actually started playing up front after Jose Mourinho at Real Madrid, didn't he? And that's when he actually started to learn to play that up front. And I think now he's been used to up front, playing how he plays up front. I just don't think that he probably would want to track back like this.
Yeah, definitely. We said that his fact that he's probably lost a yard or two of pace over that time as well. You know, he's not suitable for being that dynamic left winger that we all grew to love in 2008 around that time. So, yeah, for me, up front. But, as we were saying as well, we can't get any worse, can it, at the moment? We've sort of nearing rock bottom, so we might as well try just crazy stuff. I saw someone in the chat say put McTominay at centre-back, He's done it for
He's
Scotland.
actually played as a centre back as well, hasn't he? For Scotland, so we know that he can play as a centre back position.
Definitely, 100%. So wouldn't be surprised if Rangnick does that to it. In all fairness.
What would you do, G Wolf? Would you drop anybody? Would you play someone our position? What we've seen mostly under Ollie and Rangnick at the moment.
Well, I said drop Maguire for Phil Jones. That would be one that I would do because Phil Jones last time out he played quite well. He was one of the better players on that day. I would in midfield I'd drop McTominay for Hannibal, and then as I said, just to try something different for up top, like even if it's like dropping Rashford for Ronaldo, or dropping Ronaldo for Elanga, just to get that, just to get into the team that no one should be safe. Because at the moment, these players think they're always safe. They're going to be playing week in, week out, right? Because there's no one in the position. There's no one else in the position to have the competition for. Whereas that if the manager's there, he can think, right, let me put this person in. If he does well, he stays in. Put the
That's how we should be.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Put the cat
100%.
among the pigeons. Literally, make the players scared for their for their positions. So then that's how we can sort of win a game as well. Like just putting a youngster on. Right? Yeah, Ronaldo, you're dropped. Who are you putting in? Oh, I'm going to put in this new youngster, which has come through in the under 21s. Oh well, what's he going to do? All of a sudden, he bags a couple of goals. Well, so. Now your position is up for grabs, so you've got to start playing well.
That's the way it should be, though. I'm trying to think of an example. I think the one that comes to mind most is Liverpool's centre-back situation, because before they had that injury crisis, it was Van Dijk and Gomez.
Yeah.
And Matip came in and performed really, really well, and now Gomez can't get a look in. That is the way it should be. If a player comes in and performs better than the player that was there, tough luck on the player that was there, but they got to up their game. And then naturally that continues to go around and the players up their game and you get a better team and you rise up the table. So it's exactly what it should be. And that is on the manager to not pick players that just have to play. Maguire's got the captain's armband. Doesn't mean he has to play every single minute of every single game. Bench him because he's been dreadful.
Exactly.
And at the moment as well, we're only averaging out 1.4 goals a game, and this has actually been the worst manager at the moment to do this. So Rangnick has got the lowest average goals. So when you do look at the players we do have on the pitch, we should be able to create these chances, and we should be able to create these opportunities as well, because we're clearly creating the opportunities, but we're not putting them away. So I do wonder to myself, is it about time we could maybe fix it up? We've seen the likes of Charlie McNeil there in the youth team. Could he get that chance there? Because I'm sure that as well, Charlie McNeil, with the amount of goals he scored in that youth, I think he would be deserving that chance, if you agree with that, G-Wolf.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that.
Yeah. JA has got a question here. I think De Gea deserves the captain said. Do you all agree with that? Do you agree with that, Griffo?
I think so. Well, anything other than Maguire, obviously. But I think Ronaldo is obviously the natural born leader, but even his performances have been dropping recently. I think one of Bruno, De Gea, or Ronaldo. But if it was me personally, just based on what he's done, how much of a servant he's been for the club throughout the years, I will give it to De Gea. But I think the one issue with De Gea is he's not as vocal as maybe a Bruno or Ronaldo, which you want to be as a captain. So that's where that sort of downfalls. But yeah, you give it to one of those three, De Gea, Bruno, or Ronaldo for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I do think De Gea definitely does deserve it, but for myself, I'm not one of that type of person to think a captain deserves to have a captain's armband, because they've only got that little part of the pitch. They've not got that full influence there on the pitch like you see of a midfielder, you see of a defender. And that's why I also agree with that a striker doesn't deserve to have that captaincy also, just due to the fact of the game involvement that they do have throughout. And if I was going to give it to anybody, I would probably personally give it to Bruno Fernandes, just due to the fact that I think he's probably one of the best people available to do that.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that.
For you, G Wolf, though, who do you think De Gea deserves to have to be the captain, sir?
Yeah, I prefer an outfield player rather than the goalkeeper, though, as the captaincy.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, he's one of the longest serving players at the moment. So I'll give it to him. As I say, I prefer Bruno overall as the outfield player. I think he's the only one that has shown any desire, I suppose, than any of the other players. Rashford, I would have said Rashford at one time, but no, not anymore. Ronaldo, he's only just come back to the club, so I don't think he should have it.
I mean, in terms of like vocals and who actually shouts around the pitch and telling player what to do, Scott McTominay is an option. I know that's going to be slightly controversial, but Scott McTominay is an option. I wouldn't put it on him because I don't think he's up to the standard of being a captain. But in a few years, if he improves his game and he starts getting more consistency, then I don't see why not. So I would though go with Bruno on the back of what you both said about the man being the midfielder. The best captains sort of make for centre backs and centre midfielders who are sort of the centre of the park that can be messages out to everyone.
That's it.
What was you going to say, G Wolf?
No, it's the same. That's it. I was totally agreeing with what we're both saying.
There was something I wanted to touch on about Ronaldo as well, because Ronaldo has gone 6 club appearances without a goal in all competitions for the first time since a run of 7, since from December 2008 to January 2009, which is his first spell at Manchester United. And Why for you is this going on for you, G Wolf? Because we look at there is the opportunity. So would you think that is something more backstage? Do you think that's a coaching issue as well?
No, I don't think it's a coaching issue. I think, it could be like his I think it could be his confidence in front of goal is a big factor. Also, not getting the service as such, and then when he takes his chances, he just always fluffs it.
Mm-hmm.
So for me,
yeah.
I think he just needs a confident boost. I think once he, as Piggy said in the last match, he said that once Ronaldo scores his goal, that's it. He'll be firing on all cylinders. But at the moment, his confidence is so poor, is so low at the moment that I can't see him getting anything. So it could be 7 and 8 or even 10 games before he starts scoring for us.
We've seen it for years now, haven't we? If it's Martial, if it's Cavani, if it's Ronaldo, if it's Rashford, we struggle to get the ball constantly to that number 9. So they're sort of out of the game, and it's sort of 10v11 in that sense because our number 9 is so out of the game. So the introduction of Sancho has helped that situation a little bit, but we need more players that aren't as greedy, get the ball into Ronaldo. And I think that should be the priority, because if I know we're getting the ball into him quite a lot recently and he's not really been firing, but sooner rather than later he's going to start hitting the back of the net again. So Bruno, Rashford, Elanga, Sancho, I know you want to score goals and your goals will come, but the main focus for the team and the best interest of the team would be to pump balls into Ronaldo, crosses, to feet, anything, for the best chance for United to score goals and win games.
Mm-hmm. There was a good fact here as well, which I actually wanted to say to the viewers with Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford has actually scored 4 goals in his last Premier League games against Brighton. Would that be a good idea, perhaps maybe using Marcus Rashford, or would you say maybe use him as an impactful sub? Because we know that he can score as an impactful sub. We've seen it against Leicester, we've seen it against West Ham as well. So do you think that could be a shout, especially knowing the record he's got against Brighton, G Wolf?
Yeah, I would bring him from the bench. He can be our impact super sub. If we're drawing 1-1 and all that lot by then, hopefully we're going to win. I would love to see us just literally demolish a team. Just absolutely, literally beat them 5-6-0. I would love that against Brighton at the moment, just to get our confidence up. You know what I mean? That's what we need. The whole team is so low at the moment and so dire because we're always getting 1-1 draws. I think that when we go out and absolutely demolish someone, 5 or 6-0, then the confidence will be absolutely blooming, and then we'll just go on from there, and hopefully just go on a little mini run. But at the moment, until we get that, it's not going to happen, is it?
You say that about winning 5 or 6-0. We have our bi-seasonal match against Leeds coming up at the weekend, so we do like a good goal against them. So you never know.
Yes,
we do need that for confidence reasons. I will.
However, that was at Old Trafford, whereas at Leeds ground it was a 0-0 draw last time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't that just after the Super League there, and no one really cared? Or during the Super League, and nobody really cared because everybody thought the Premier League wasn't going to be a thing anymore.
Yes, that was during the Super League times.
That was a weird few days. There you go.
Big God Bob has said Fred Tellez and Matic available, but Cavani is not, and this is what Ralph has said today. So that will be quite interesting to see on how we do use our squad. But we have got some with Brighton, they are in such good form at the moment. They're unbeaten in the last 7 Premier League games for the first time. So they've had 3 wins, 4 draws. They've had 1 defeat in 12 away fixtures this season. No side has lost fewer. So we can see that Graham Potter is doing such a good job at the moment at Brighton. And I think a lot of people underestimated Graham Potter several years ago to think he was probably one of the favourites to get sacked at Brighton as well. But he has really turned it around, and he's made them, for me, a top 10 worthy team, in my opinion. And if he does continue to be like that, there's going to be a minimum chance that Brighton are going to be relegated. But looking at that, them stats for you, Griffo, are you a little bit worried coming into this Brighton game?
I'd be worried against any team that's managed by Graham Potter, in all honesty, because he's a really, really good coach. I mean, Brighton struggled for goals last season, didn't they? And everyone was like, "Oh, Brighton need to sign a striker." They didn't sign a striker, and now they're getting goals. It just shows how well coached that team is under Potter to improve stuff without, just going out and buying someone on the transfer market. So it is a worry. Brighton aren't fighting for anything because they're not in a relegation fight and they're not good enough yet. I will say that for any fighting for Europe. So they're sort of this mid-table team that just are going along trying to get to the end of the season. So, but yeah, Brighton are probably one of the teams, maybe similar to Wolves, that can spring a result out of nowhere in this sense. And they'll fancy their chances the way we're at the moment, especially at Old Trafford. And that's another thing, a few years ago, under Fergie especially, Brighton would come to Man United's Old Trafford and they'd be, shit scared basically to play football because it's a theatre. Now you rock up at Man United's Old Trafford and you think, oh, it's just a field, a park that we're playing in. It's got no buzz around at the moment. The fans are not happy about the situation, so the atmosphere is not as good as it usually is, and we're playing poorly at Old Trafford. So this game for Brighton, if I was a Brighton fan, I'd be optimistic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. VK has said here, dangerous team, great work rate and combinations. Brighton do everything well, what we don't. Looking at it as well, so Brighton at the moment, they've got a goal difference of 2. They've scored 25 goals this season, and they've conceded 23. Neil Maupay, though, he has already equalled last season's tally of 8 Premier League goals in 12 fewer appearances. So Maupay as well is another player who is actually on good form at the moment for Brighton. And we have always said about Brighton, they're more of a defensive team. Like, they've got the likes of Lewis Dunk there in the team and Lamptey in the team as well. Whereas the goal scorers we've got better goal scorers, but because they've got a Danny Welbeck, they've got a Maupay. But looking at that, Maupay's doing terrific. Are you worried about how Maupay is doing as well at the moment, G Wolf?
Yeah, definitely. And the only reason why Maupay is getting the goals that he is because of they've got a brilliant central midfielder in Basuma.
Yeah.
And I think with the combination between the central midfield players and also the strikers, they have literally got it switched on all the time. And that's how Maupay is scoring. I think that's how Maupay has got that many goals in 12 fewer games. So, yeah, just literally, that's something that we need. We need to have we've got Pogba. But the only thing with Pogba, he goes missing in games, or he'll do a challenge and then get sent off and doing stupid things. And the last 2 games which I've seen Pogba in, he's done actually really well.
Yeah.
Since his return from injury,
yeah, since his return from injury, he has done absolutely amazing. He's done me. I think he's worked his socks off. And tell you the truth, it seems like Rangnick's literally put a rocket up his ass to get him firing. So hopefully that will continue for the remainder of the season. Whether he goes at the end of the season or not, tell you the truth, me personally, the only reason why I want him out is because of that that dire agent of his, Mino Raiola.
Yeah.
Literally, that guy can go back to Burger King and work there.
Might get him back in a few years if Haaland
Yeah.
comes.
True.
That is very, very true, Griffo. Very true. But touching on Paul Pogba as well, because I actually wanted to touch on him myself, because I think Paul Pogba, for me, he's been brilliant coming through, but I actually do argue he's been the best player for against Middlesbrough. He was our best player as well against Burnley. So, and he's missing for this game due to suspension. So, is that going to be quite a worry for us, missing out on Paul Pogba? And I look at it as well. Is Paul Pogba going to be this key for us to actually win a couple more games throughout this season, in your opinion, Griffo?
Is Pogba suspended? This is the first I've heard of it.
He is suspended because he's had 5 yellow cards this season. He picked up his last yellow card against Southampton.
Didn't it reset though? I swear it reset in January.
It said that he had 5 yellow cards, so I was presuming he's suspended.
Yeah, he's got 5 yellow cards, but I think it resets in after the transfer window, so he should be available.
Yeah, I mean, if he's available, play him. But
I actually saw the the pre-team selection. He's actually in it with Fred.
Oh, there you go. I think he is available then, and thank God for that, because as G Wolf and Maisie were saying, he has been great since coming back from injury. And yeah, we've had this before with Pogba, a few good games here, and then he goes on a lull where he's injured or gets suspended or starts not performing. But we only have to put up with that for another, 3 or 4 months, and then he inevitably goes. So just he's one of our best players. So you've got to play your best players in situations we're in. So Paul Pogba.
The key cadet though has said though that Pogba only turns up for 20% of the time, and you do look at it with Paul Pogba sometimes is that yes, he can play such good games, a couple of games, and then he switches off for quite a while. And William has said Pogba has missed 200 games for United and ain't the answer. Yeah, I actually knew in I think it was the 2020/21 season, he played 7 games all season. Wow. And 7 games out of 38. So you do look at things like that. The injury prone, of course, as G Wolf has touched on, due to his age and who he's got. Just the injury record alone and the amount that wages that we could potentially give him, Paul Pogba, would he be a person that you would want to keep at the club, G Wolf?
No, not on 400k a week. He ain't worth that. He ain't done enough to warrant that. I think if he doesn't accept, give him a little bit more, like an incentive to want to be at the club. But there's no point. Literally, I don't want players at the club that are only going to come for the money. You know what I mean? We don't need that at our club no more. I think that they should be here because they want to be at the club. They want to put on that. They want to put on the shirt and wear the badge with pride and literally go out there and give it their 100. Pogba hasn't done that. As we all know, Pogba's gone missing in games. 9 times out of 10. He has moments. He has literally moments of brilliance in him, but we haven't seen it long enough. He's a World Cup winner, for crying out loud. He won the World Cup in last year? Was it last year? No, not last year.
World Cup.
Yeah, the last World Cup. That's what I meant. So, to tell you the truth, he's supposed to be one of Man United's star players, and he ain't done that. It's at the moment, at the moment, the only person who we're saying is our star player, and that's our goalkeeper, David De Gea. He's the only star player for me for Man United at the moment. All the rest of the players, there's 1 or 2 that has done okay or has improved, like Sancho, Varane, and also Dallo. But all the rest of them has been absolutely dog shite. And we need to get it sorted. Like, this is Ragnick's job to get it sorted. I'm loving Ragnick's man management as well. The way that when Ronaldo went off and he threw a strop, I think it was in the Middlesbrough game.
It was the Brentford game that was.
Brentford game.
Oh, yeah.
Where he went off with a big strop, and then all of a sudden Ragnick went over there, put his arm around him and said, look, you'll be all right. This is the reason why I took you off. See, brilliant management there. Brilliant man management. That's what we need. But at the moment, Ragnick, people don't know who's going to be the next manager. So the players are not trying either. They're just cruising in games because they think they're comfortable. We don't need players at the club that think they're comfortable. We need to literally put the shit up them and literally, let them fear for their jobs. Let them fear for their positions. That's what we need at the club.
Mm-hmm. We did actually discuss whose salaries, and we've obviously got 2 goalkeepers alone, and they're both from nearly 500k a week, putting them both together, which is quite a high amount of money. And we've got obviously players such as Donny, who has gone on loan. He's doing an amazing job at Everton in the last game. We couldn't follow what he got the highest amount of tackles. He got man of the match. You could tell that the way his facial expressions on pitches, that he was so happy to get back on that pitch. Yep. Do you think for you, Griffo, is it a bit of a mistake letting Donny go on
loan? Yes and no. Yes, because he's probably one of our best midfielders, and especially now where our squad's sort of been depleted in January for various reasons. That is a bad thing to let him go on loan. But even when he was here, he was 5th, 6th, 7th choice option. He was not getting any game time at all. Yep. So it baffles me how we thought at first maybe Solskjaer didn't like him. Solskjaer didn't have plans for him. Then Rangnick comes in, who we think, Donny's going to be a Rangnick type player. Doesn't play much under Ralph. So I don't know if there was anything going on behind the scenes. Not saying there was, but Donny is clearly a very talented player. He's shown that in the game he played against whoever it was, Leeds for Everton, and showed it at Ajax. So he is a very good player, and I think it was a mistake letting him go. But as I said, if we still had him at this club, would he play ahead of your Freds, your Matiches, your McTominays, your Pogbas, your Brunos? I don't think he would. So there again, he's 6th choice option. So it's a very, very difficult situation to unpick that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I think Donny, a lot of people were questioning why wasn't Donny playing, just as Griffo was touched on. And some people think, is it because he's not adapted to the Premier League? Because we all know some players, especially when they do come from different leagues, that they can take a while to adapt to the Premier League. We've seen it with a lot of these players. But we've had 3 managers. I know Michael Carrick was a caretaker manager, but he still didn't play a Premier League game even under Michael Carrick. Overall, at Manchester United this season, he played 69 minutes. So he hasn't even played a full game time worth of minutes at Manchester United this season.
Bloody hell.
And that is a bit worrying if you agree with that, G Wolf.
That does sound terrifying. 69 minutes and wow.
Put that into context, this show is 10 minutes away from going to 69 minutes. So, I mean, that shows that situation.
Wow. But also people are saying that maybe he's not training properly. Some people are saying that he was, like, as you said, maybe the managers didn't like him. Or and then what Griffo said, maybe he is 6th or 7th choice. Hence the reason why he wasn't getting the game time. But Yeah, he's absolutely thriving at Everton. I want to see more because if like yes, it's a loan. If he keeps on playing like he is for Everton from here on out, then when it comes to United, he should go into the team and let's see what he can do for full 90 minutes.
Yeah, Niall has got a comment in here, and which I completely agreed with. I think I have definitely said this on my channel before and other people's channels. For me, he was a panic buy because, see, at the end of the day, everyone thought Pogba was going to leave in the summer. That was obviously 2 summers ago at Real Madrid. I think it was near enough confirmed, and that didn't happen. That's maybe why he didn't play Donnet, who's currently now at loan at Everton. So I do agree that he definitely was, for me, a panic buy, and especially knowing that Woodward probably looked at Jack Grealish first. I thought, 90 million? Nah. And then we've seen the praises there of Van der Sar saying, look at Donny, he's the next big thing, he's amazing. Woodward's probably looked at Donny and thought, oh yeah, he's £50 million cheaper there than Grealish. Let's go for him. Would you agree with that, G Wolf?
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like it. As I said, more money is money pinching, but you buy what you get what you buy. If you if you pay less for a player, and the player is getting like hyped up really, really good, when he's not playing well, you think, oh, it's only 50 million down the drain. But a bit like Harry Maguire, he cost us 80 million, right? You think, okay, at the time he did really well for Leicester City. He was playing really well for Leicester City, and also
not £80 million worth of good.
No, but that's the thing. Like, and Woodward went, yeah, okay, I'll pay it, thinking that he will improve us, improve the squad. And look, it's literally kicked them in the. It's come back to haunt Woodward because of Maguire's just been absolutely gash turd. Right, so
True.
Like, if they say that we did go for Grealish, paid the 90 million, how do we know what Grealish is going to be like? Is he going to be the same player like he was for Aston Villa, or what we're seeing what he is now for Man City? He might have been a totally different player, and he might have go into the same with the rest of the squad, absolutely dog turd. Like, literally, we're just not firing on all cylinders. Sorry.
I mean, looking at Grealish now at Man City, we might have dodged a bullet, to be fair, because he's making the headlines a lot, isn't he? Him going out constantly, getting in a bit of a situation and
is he?
clubs and getting.
Do you know what? I haven't seen any of that.
No, it's not. It's nothing too bad, obviously, but it's not a good image for Man City. And when he has played, he's you can't call him a flop because it's very, very hard to flop in a Manchester City side. Let's face it, but he hasn't really been the £100 million worth of player that Man City thought they were getting. So
no,
I think we might have dodged a bullet on that one, in all honesty. And I think he would have fit right in with United with the big profiles of the Pogbas, the Ronaldos, of the Rashfords. And maybe that's where we need to sort of halt and stay. Maybe we don't need to sign these £90 million high profile players anymore. Maybe we need to Liverpool. I hate to say it, but Liverpool have sort of the prime example of that. Get a player for 30 million, your Mane's, your Salahs, and turn them into world-class players and some of the best on the planet. And that's what Klopp's done over the time. It pains me to say it, but that's the strategy we should be adopting, similar to Liverpool, Leicester's, and even Aston Villa's to a certain extent.
I want to say thank you there to Gunshi for the super chat. Means a lot. Just want to say you're doing a brilliant job. Thank you so, so much. G Wolf and Griffo, long live Bacon Brigade. Absolutely agree. So what we're going to do, we'll do our predictions. Everyone's favourite time of the show, prediction time. We'll start first with our lineup prediction, because this is going to, well, to be honest, it's probably going to be straightforward. Not many players to pick, is there? So not compared to last time, back in before the January transfer window. We had plenty of options, but now we can basically predict who we're going to play every game. It's basically like Burnley now. We can predict who we're going to play every game. So we'll start with you, Griffo, of what formation. Who do you think is going to play?
I'd say keep the formation 4-3-3. I think there is a good play in there. De Gea in goal, standard. Not going to put Tom Heaton in there, are we? And Dean Henderson's is just irrelevant at this point. Sorry, Dean, but you are. Then we go to right back. I think we have to keep with Dalot. Wan-Bissaka hasn't done much to get back into the side recently. He was dreadful when he was inside. And I'm a fan of Wan-Bissaka, but he was just completely off of form. And I don't think Dalot set the world alight, but I think he has been better than Wan-Bissaka, so I'd play him. Left back, go with it. Telles, I'd say, over Shaw. I think long term, I would play Shaw over Telles, but I think give Telles a run, see what he's got. Because Shaw's just one of these players that is completely out of form at the moment. Centre backs, can't keep Varane out, so put Varane in. Then I put Lindelof. I want to see more Varane-Lindelof partnership because I think the glimpses we have seen have been far better than many more centre-back partnerships we have seen this season. So that'll be my back five. Back four and a goalkeeper. Then the midfield three, I'm going to go Fred, Pogba, Bruno. I can't remember seeing too many times where that midfield. I think it has happened, but I can't remember it being like a popular thing week in, week out, that midfield three. So I think give it a try. McTominay is hit and miss. He needs a rest, so put him on the bench. Fred's coming back. I don't know about his fitness because he has that COVID, so time will tell on that. Training will tell, of course. Paul Pogba, as we've said previously, is doing really well since coming back from injury. And Bruno, despite him being so up and down at the moment, is still a very, very good player and can make stuff happen. So you've got to keep him in the team. And then the front three, I would keep Sanchez on the right. Sanchez? Bloody hope not. That's the one player we don't need back. Jesus.
Wow.
Sancho on the right. My God. They've brought back so many nightmares for all the chat there. Sancho. Jadon Sancho on the right. Play Alanga over Rashford. Rashford as the super sub. So I'll play Alanga on the left and then CR7 up front. And hopefully he will score.
Fingers crossed. Before we go to your lineup prediction, G Wolf, I can see that there is a few people who has put their score predictions. Everyone's pretty much near enough the same. Viking Red, 1-1. Gumsha, got to be 1-1, hasn't it? 1-0 to Man United half-time, 1-1 at full-time. Jarvis has said Caesar, 1-1. But Niall has got a little bit of positivity into this game. He has said, I am changing it, Mazer. I don't have the bottle for 1-1. Let's go for a 2-1 United. So there's a little bit of positivity at least.
I think Big God Bob put in the chat earlier that Brighton's last 6 results, 4 of them have been 1-1s. So
that isn't good either.
So I put if you're a betting man or woman, just bet all your money on 1-1 tomorrow.
Well, for you, G Wolf, what is your lineup prediction?
It's David De Gea. It's pretty much the same as Griffo's, but instead of Rashford, I'll put in Alanga, and then have Sancho as well on the other side. But didn't we buy Sancho to go on that right side?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he can play both positions though. So on the left for me is more of a goal scorer, but on the right is more of a creative winger, and that's where he gets then more assists. But I do agree he definitely should be playing on that right because that's where his position is and what we have bought him for. But I think at the moment he's doing great on that left-hand side for me.
Yeah, definitely he is. I'm not saying that he's not. I'm just saying that I thought we originally supposed to have bought him for that right-hand side. And so he's not playing there. Yeah, he's getting us goals now, which is what we want to see. But it just needs to be a little bit more. I think, we need the creativity to get Ronaldo scoring. So if that means sacrificing goals from Sancho on the left, put him on the right to create the goals for Ronaldo.
That sounds good. There's a few more people with the score predictions. Overfloater has gone positive here, 2-0 to United. Love the positivity here. Absolutely love it. William has said, we need a win and get back to the top 4, back on track. I completely agree. Jarvis said, Rangnick's new formation is 1-1. That isn't good. Niall's prediction for the lineup is De Gea, Dalot, Telles, Lindelof, Bayer, Scott, Fred, Sancho, Rashford, Bruno, and Alanga. That is what his team is. So I'm going to go with my predicted lineup. I'm going to say that the formation is going to remain the same as that 4-2-3-1. Personally, for me, I prefer the 4-3-3 formation. You see a lot of teams who win with these 4-3-3 formations. You don't see many teams who win trophies, who win leagues with the 4-2-3-1. But I think we need a proper CDM in the middle to actually get this 4-3-3 in place. But I think we'll stick to what we know. Go the 4-2-3-1. So De Gea for me stays in goal. No question about it. Don't think he is going to get dropped at all. On the right, I think it's going to go with Dalot. Wan-Bissaka for me. If you put like Wan-Bissaka there as terms of defending, in terms of his tackles, his one-on-ones, yes, you would consider him brilliant right back, but it isn't these kind of right backs, just as Griffo has touched on, that we see in this Premier League at the moment. You don't see the Reece James can do both. People would argue Trent Alexander-Arnold can really go forward. He isn't the best at going at defending, but he's still got a Van Dijk and a Matip next to him, so he's obviously a little bit more secure, whereas we've only got one brilliant centre-back. So that helps Trent Alexander-Arnold in terms of his defending. But for me, I think Dalot is probably the best option. We can see that he is brilliant at going forward, and I think he has actually improved in terms of his defending as well. I think, especially since this Brentford game, he has improved massively, in my opinion. Varane, definitely undroppable right now. Keep him in that starting 11. And I think I would drop Harry Maguire. I'd put Victor Lindelof back. I think Victor Lindelof, for me, he hasn't done too much wrong to say, no, he can't be in this starting 11 lineup. I know people have been mentioning Eric Bailly, but Eric Bailly, as it stands, is still currently injured. He's been injured since AFCON, so I don't think we'll see him. And even if that was the case, I don't think he will play ahead of both Maguire and Lindelof anyway. So I think Lindelof will be back. I think as well that we will see Telles back as well, because I think especially when you do look at that Burnley game, some people said Maguire is at fault for the Rodriguez goal, but we look at Luke Shaw, his timing wasn't the best in terms of his tackle to try and slide in and when the ball put it out for a corner. I think if he was a couple seconds earlier, as well as Harry Maguire was weak on his one-on-one, that could have helped us massively as well. So I say there's two potential players there at fault. So I think Alex Telles, especially now he's been back at training for a bit, he's had more training sessions than Fred. I think he will be back in that starting 11 lineup. If Pogba isn't out due to suspension, I think he will be back in. I think it will be alongside Scott McTominay. However, Scott McTominay, here is a fun fact, is actually he is the outfield midfielder who has played the most games under Ralph. So Ralph must really like Scott McTominay as well. So I can see both of them going to be playing.
He's got something about him, because loads of managers, so Alex Ferguson, Mourinho, really high established managers, sang McTominay's praises. So, I mean, they're in far better positions than people on Twitter, for example, to say about McTominay. So there's a reason why he's popular with some of the great managers.
Exactly. There must be something what us as fans don't always see.
Yeah, true.
But for me, I will put Alanga back there on the left, put Sancho on the right, Bruno in the attacking midfield, and Ronaldo back in that staying in that starting 11 with Cavani being injured. I just want to say as well, thank you to Zen for both the super chats. Can't see the stickers, but so lovely of you to send them super chats as well. But here is a good question, because some people have been thinking this is a good idea, and I'll go with you first, Griffo. Would you personally try Bruno as a false nine?
No. Because I think if you play him as a false nine, you need him to be less selfish than he currently is. Because I think right now he just gets the ball and he'll shoot from left, right, centre, however far out he is. He needs to be passing along the floor, not playing too many ridiculous balls, and he just needs to be part of the team. He's basically it's part of the midfield, but in a more attacking sense. So I don't see that working personally. He did play there once, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Was it? I mean, it could work. It could work. But Ronaldo for me has to be the striker, and I don't think we should be messing around with that in that sense.
Mm-hmm. What about you, G Wolf? Would you try and risk Scott McTominay, Bruno Fernandes as a false nine?
No, I would. No, I'll just keep it as it is. As I said, just like there's not because of literally the players look knackered in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the reason why we're sort of not concentrating and we're conceding more. Whereas I think that if we sort of take the foot off the pedal a little bit and just cruise along the first half, see how it goes, and then if we see them on the ropes, then literally go full for level in the second half, and then literally batter the crap out of them. But at the moment, it just seems like we just literally straight from the whistle. We're going full out. First half is absolutely brilliant, which we're seeing. We're getting the chances, creating the chances, and only scoring one goal. But our possession is a lot better. Passing is a lot better. It's just the final third that needs to change. And
I've just had a thought. I don't think we should be doing this, but it might be worth trying at one point if the results keep drying up. But maybe if people are not going to like this, but play the McFred partnership with Fred and McTominay, but instead of Bruno being the more attacking of the options, have it be Pogba, and then Bruno doesn't play the game or he's on the bench or something. I think Pogba could do a role in that attacking field because he can hit a ball from just outside the box, as we've seen multiple times before. And I think him being a more of a central midfielder than Bruno is, he'd help out McTominay and Fred and help out attackively. So I think it is worth trying to do that. I'm just wondering your two opinions on that, the chat's opinions on that.
That could be a good idea, because for me, Paul Pogba, he can play in that number 10 role. So as much as I do love Bruno Fernandes and he does contribute a lot for these goals and assists, I think Pogba would be a good shout, but I think I'd only really risk it if, for example, Bruno was injured. Otherwise, I don't think I would truly risk it, because when we look at that Wolves game, it felt like Bruno Fernandes' presence was actually missed until he got on the pitch, and it felt like he was really trying then.
Yeah. This is true.
Bruno can play anywhere in central midfield as well, no?
Yeah, he can play as an 8.
He can
play as,
then why don't you just swap Pogba with Bruno? So that you still have him in the team, but the sort of not the formation, but the tactics would change. Like, Bruno does Pogba's job, Pogba does Bruno's job.
I think you need a really, really good central defensive midfielder for that to happen, because Bruno has a tendency, even when he's playing the 8, to bomb forward a lot. And if they hit on the counter-attack, whatever team we're playing, then we're only going to have one CDM, which we don't have if it's Fred, McTominay or Matic. So I think if we had like a Kante-like figure or a Fabinho-like figure or a Rodri-like figure, we could easily do that. But for me, I don't think you could play Bruno in the 8 and Pogba in the 10 with the options we have as a more defensive-minded midfielder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. What we'll do now, we'll wrap it up. We'll ask goal predictions. I'm going to go with a very dull 1-1, just like the rest of the chat. But what are you going to go for, G-Wolf?
Is that Old Trafford, yeah?
Old Trafford.
I really want to say 2-1 to United, but I think it's going to be 1-0. Or it could, bite us on the arse and we lose 2-1. Do you know what? I'm going to go for it. I don't want us to lose, but I really got a funny feeling the way that Brighton are playing, we're going to lose 2-1.
And what do you think, Griffo?
I'll bring the positivity and I'll say 2-1 Manchester United.
I'm hoping for it, but I can't see it.
I can see it being one of these games. I can see it being one of these games where it's 1-1 and everyone's like, oh, here we go again. Carbon copy of the last 3 games, and then right at the last minute, it comes off of Ronaldo's backside or something. And it's 2-1 and we all go.
We'll have to be careful with VAR though, in case that his bum might be offside.
This is true. I haven't studied Ronaldo's backside that often. So I don't know how big it is to keep him onside or offside. So I'm sure. You know what? I'll take it. If it comes off his backside, if it comes off his shin, if it comes off the ref, I'll take it at this point.
Thank you as well there to Gunshi for the other new super chat. 2-1 for United. We're going to win this. #believe. I love the positivity there as well. I just want to say thank you both to G-Wolf and Griffo for coming on, helping me host this amazing channel. First time for me to host on this channel as well. So thank you both for coming on. And I do apologise for the technical issues. But
it's okay.
We'll shout out your socials anyway. And we'll start with you, G-Wolf. Where can we find you?
You can find me at G-Wolf United Gaming. The answer's in the clue. Do a load of games, Rocket League, GTA. I've been doing the late GTA streams so far at the moment as well, so that's been fun. Also, I'm going to bring back the Minecraft streams as well. So if anybody wants to get in, just come and join me and Eclipse.
Yeah. And Griffo, where can we find you?
At Charlie Griffin 1 on Twitter, and also we have Delay Kickoff, which is just a podcast that me and my friends do about football, not just United Central, but all things football, not just Premier League as well. So Delay Kickoff on Twitter, and also Delay Kickoff on YouTube as well, which is the main platform.
Brilliant. If anyone wanted to find me, my YouTube channel is Devils United. I do all content for Manchester United on there, both for the men and the women's football. So if you're interested in learning more about women's football and hearing more about the men's football from myself, you can catch me on there. I've put all the links in the description below for both mine, G-Wolf and Griffo's YouTube channels, so you'll be able to catch us through there. But thank you both for coming on, and we will see you very soon. I'm sure Flying Pig will be doing a preview of his own as well as other things. So we'll see you soon. Goodbye for now.